What's going on? It's Brian Rose. Just busted out my 6K run here at Hampstead Heath. And to be honest, there was one thing on my mind the entire time, and that is our favorite friend, the coronavirus. Now, as an engineer myself who studied at MIT, it's been frustrating for me because I can't get my head around this complex problem, and I don't know who to listen to. When I listen to politicians, I'm reminded that to a certain extent, it's their job to lie and get reelected. When I listen to governments, to a certain extent, it's their job to withhold information to get us to all work in the way they want us to. Sometimes they can't tell us what they want to tell us, and so you then listen to the scientists, and then you try to look at the history and figure out what's going on. And I was actually privy to some special information on Friday that a doctor friend of mine forwarded me from a meeting that happened in California a few days ago. And I think this is now fairly public information. I saw similar information on the New York Times website, so I'm not divulging anything crazy, but it basically said this. This whole concept of a containment of a virus is almost by definition ridiculously impossible. It just really won't happen. Possibly, if you would have got to this in 24 hours and literally cordoned off and maybe exterminated people in Wuhan, you might have been able to. But the way this thing is transmitted, it just goes. And so this whole idea of us trying to contain it, it's obviously futile. And we've seen these attempts be futile to contain it in America and Italy and all these other places. And it's just spreading and spreading. And of course, it spreads more, and there's more people infected, probably by a factor of 10 than we even know, because a lot of people don't show symptoms, etc. So now we're in this delay stage. Now, the reason they have the delay is because people that are going to be affected by this virus, and I'll talk about this shortly, are the ones that are sick, that are elderly, that have respiratory problems. Those are the ones that are going to clog up the hospitals here in the UK and in America. And I'm looking down here to the Royal Free Hospital, which is where I'm near. And it means if there's 10,000 people that need respirators because they're getting pneumonia, they'll turn them away and they'll die. If we can delay this, it spreads those cases out and they can handle that reality. So that's an understandable thing. But here is a fact that you need to get your head around. And when I heard about this on Friday, I went a bit low for a while until I understood what was happening. And that's this. 70 to 80% of the population on this planet are going to get the coronavirus, period. That means most likely you and me and your family and your kids. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in the next month or the next 4 months, or it's going to come back next winter and hit everyone. And if we look to history, the Spanish flu, which killed, I think, 40 or 50 million people around the world, about 1% of the population, I think, it came in 1917, but it didn't obliterate the population until 1918, when it came back in the winter flu seasons where everyone's immunity is low, and it nailed everybody. And so learning from that, we need to understand that it's actually in everyone's interest to get this flu. Now stay with me for a second, because that sounds really crazy. First of all, man has been battling our immune system against the world's viruses for millions of years, and we've adapted. When you were born, you were actually born in your DNA with a version of every virus that your ancestor had and attacked and figured out and passed on to you. When you were a kid, you learned by getting sick. Some of you got injections for smallpox, and that was learning about those viruses, and now your immune system's fairly strong. No human in the world has ever seen this virus because it's new. It was made up of, Lord knows, some bat and some cat and who knows. And so it means no one's immune, and we're all going to have to use our system to fight this. And so the truth is, the sooner we can all get it, the better. And that's why you hear this term, the herd immunity. And they reckon if 60% of us get it, we can actually stop this thing from spreading, because you won't spread it and you'll be strong enough to keep it from spreading to the people that are in danger. And so that's like almost counterintuitive to what we've been told. We get in this panic, I'm going to lock myself up in my house and I'm not going to get infected. Most likely you're already infected. And there's really nothing you can do in a major population not to. And the truth is, why not get infected now in the summer before it happens again in the winter? Here's a few other parts of the news. So the quote unquote bad news is we're all going to get coronavirus. The good news is that a small percentage of us will die. Now, the numbers are still out right now, but the latest intelligent numbers say about 1%. But this is really moved out on the spectrum. We're seeing very few children or no children dying from it. Healthy adults from, say, 18 to 40, it's like 0.2% is what they reckon. And then 50, 60 and over, it's like 10 to 15%, and anybody with respiratory issues. So those are the people that are going to die, and they're going to die, and it's going to be sad, and hundreds of thousands of people are going to die from this, and it's going to be those people. And that means you have to be careful around those people. We have to make sure they have beds. You need to stay away from elderly people, and you need to tell them to stay put and try to stay isolated. But that is this new reality. And so the funny thing is that we actually want people to get it. And that's why I believe the government has not told everyone to lock themselves in the house. Now, there's a few exceptions. If you have a cough, a fever, like serious signs that you have the flu, they say is the best thing is to self-isolate. Don't go to a hospital. First of all, they can't help you. Second of all, you're going to build up your immunity on your own. So the chance that you might infect one of these elderly people or someone that's dangerous, then self-isolate for 7 days if it really seems bad. But if you're surrounded by people that are healthy, like in my household, you know, we're going about business as usual. Now, my parents, I've reached out to them. I don't know what they're going to do. I would suggest that they isolate themselves. They're still both fairly healthy, but we don't know what's going to happen here. Also, I'm no spring chicken, right? But I'm pretty healthy. So I'm just going to keep my immune system high, stay healthy. If you can, stay healthy, you know, stop smoking. That's not going to help you. Sleep better, get your vitamins, get your healthy lifestyle up, eat better, stop drinking. You know, there was a guy on Rogan that said the obesity epidemic in America is not going to do anyone any favors when it comes to their immune system. So take this stuff really seriously. It's really important to learn. And so that's the science I can see. I honestly think I'm 80 to 90% right, but I'm not a doctor. So please try to corroborate this with other people. But like, I hate living in fear and living in the unknown. And I was, you know, having a weird moment yesterday thinking, okay, 1.5 million people are going to die on this planet. And I don't think those numbers are accurate, because what happens is if I get a version of the virus that you've already had and got immune to, it might be weaker or different. I have less reaction to it, and it morphs as it goes through people, and it becomes less dangerous. So the mortality rate typically drops over time. And so I'm not expecting tens of millions of people or even millions, but hundreds of thousands of people will die, and they'll be the weak in this world. And third world countries are very much in danger. And there's been some articles written about that. So that's where we're at. I've also heard conflicting things. Some people say large gatherings are actually safer than small gatherings, because statistically in a small gathering, you might be up close talking to someone because you're familiar with them, where there's a large gathering, you're out there yelling at a crowd. A lot of the things that politicians are doing are to keep people happy. And so they're working with emotions and not always science. And so that's kind of going on as well. One thing that I think everyone agrees on is we want to keep our kids in school. First of all, they're not susceptible to it from what we can see. And second of all, taking kids out of school takes away our nurses, our policemen, our everybody else that makes the whole thing run. And let's be honest, society has to function. Even silly things have to work. You know, garbage has to be collected. People have to order food. Things need to move on, and we need to keep things moving, or we'll have even more crises and more dangers and more disease. So this whole machine needs to keep going as well. And so what's the ultimate takeaway from this? I'm going to use evidence based on my actions, even though I have emotions as well. Last week I talked to my wife about taking the kids out of school. We're not. We're going to put them back in school because I believe that's the intelligent thing to do. I want to lead. I'm going to be shaking people's hands because I quite honestly, I want to get the virus now. I'm strong, and I can be someone that can help this immunity out there. So I want to get it, or get a version of it. And you can easily get it and not show symptoms, or show mild symptoms, and then be immune to it and produce a strain that other people can come immune to. The crazy thing about this whole epidemic is that the only way we're going to get through this is together. Isn't that crazy? The only way we're going to do this is if we all become one, because we are all one in this game. We're all fighting this thing out there, and the only way to fight it is together. Isn't that crazy? I just thought about that right now. And so you need to go out and kind of get this coronavirus, build up your immunity so you can be part of that herd that strengthens the whole group. And this is going to be our reality for the next couple of years. The last thing is vaccines. Vaccines take 18 months, they think, to develop it, and then years more to test. For some of the things like MERS and SARS, they never developed a vaccine. So forget about that. It's all going to be what humans have done for millions of years, which is to figure this out with our own systems. of course, take care and don't do stupid things and stupid risks. And watch out for other things happening. You know, you don't need to get other diseases when the healthcare systems are clogged up. They say get the flu shot next year so you don't tax the health system with normal flu. I think that's all intelligent stuff. And I am a proponent of vaccines. I'm a scientist by nature, and I will be getting my flu shot this year. My family will be getting the flu shot. And I believe in the science. And we have to believe in the science, folks. If this was 300 years ago, all of these deaths, or 400 years ago, it would be God striking down the bad people or some bullshit, right? But we know that's not true. So if we know the science, let's act in a scientific method. And there was a great scientific advisor on the news last night in Britain, Sir someone, and I thought he was amazing. I posted the video, I'll post it somewhere. And he just talked intelligently and scientifically about what's going to happen, from behavioral patterns to immune systems to historical. And what the British government's telling people to do is the right thing to do right now. Now, they might kowtow to some of the public pressure because they're looking at it through a lens. How can you not save the children? That's wrong. Shut down the schools. But is that really the right answer? It's actually not. That could actually have more of a knock-on effect, but they'll look good and look like they're doing something. So let's be careful of optics versus the correct decision for the long term. And that's what I'm going to make with me, my team, with everything. So again, to continue, if you are a strong, healthy, young adult, you don't have anything to worry about. You're most likely not going to die from this, and it's only a matter of time before you get it anyways. So let's get it while we're strong in the summer, because this is going to come back in the fall and winter with a vengeance. If you are sick, isolate yourself. If you feel like you have symptoms, self-isolate and ride it out at your house and get your immune system built. The hospital's not going to be able to help you. If you have respiratory issues, senior citizen or anything, isolate yourself and get away from everybody, because you are the ones that are most susceptible to this thing. You want to be in care, and we want to delay all those people having to go to the hospital. So again, those are my thoughts. That's from everything I collected, some people in the know. I think we're going to see panic for the next few weeks, because that's what we do as humans. We go a little crazy, and we're going to see stock markets up and stock markets down. We're going to see maybe borders closed. We're going to see la. But it doesn't change the scientific facts I just laid out. And mark my words, 90% of what I just said is going to be true over the next 6 months. It will. And we're going to ride this thing out. It's going to be a new part of our reality. And look, I've been through the 2008 crash. I lived through the AIDS scare, where it was crazy. Oh my God, what's happening? We're dying. We're going to get it from a toilet seat. I remember all that. And at the end of it, we found a way through it. And now as humans, we behave slightly different when it comes to things like that. That's smart. And that's what we're going to do with this thing as well. And we will overcome and we will rise. I think we'll be better people. I already find that everyone's being nicer, except when they don't want to touch your hand. Okay. But I'm already being nicer to people, because the only way we're going to get through this is get through this together. And I'll say one last thing. This could be that test we were looking for as a society, the thing that's going to bring us together and show us that we truly are all one. I'm looking for leaders out there. Are you going to be a leader? I want to be a leader. I really want to be a leader. Even if I have to put myself at risk, I want to be a leader. So I want to be out there. I want you to take advantage of this opportunity to show people, your friends and family, to not cower, to not cry, to lead with confidence, to go into the fear and say, everything is going to be okay. Let's remain calm. Let's remain focused. Let's use the science. Let's take care of the people around us. Let's be selfless. Let's help others. That is the message here. What are you going to do in the great pandemic of 2020? What will you tell your grandkids you did? When I go down to the Thames here in London, right down here where the skyline is, I see statues for people in 1940 like Winston Churchill that led this country in times that were much harder than this bullshit, right? And we remember the people that led us when fear was so crippling that people didn't know what to do, literally curling in a ball and panicking. And yet the British people stood, man. And that's why I'm so proud to be British. I'm so proud of this country. I'm so proud of these people. I mean, they don't play around here, you know? I mean, honestly, some of the most resilient people in the world are in this country. And, you know, I really believe London and UK will show the world how we handle this. So those are my thoughts. I hope you're good. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. But get out there and live your life. Live by the numbers. Live intelligently. Do what you can to help your community. And this is the Brian Rose coronavirus update. Over. Love you guys. Bye.